Welcome back to the Bryan Devore Connection. I'm your host, Bryan Devore. Seniors helping seniors. Well, it's all in the name. What is Seniors Helping Seniors? How does that work? Well, here to talk about their program is Mary McFadden. Mary, how are you doing today?
Good. Thank you, Bryan, for having me here today.
It's my pleasure. I'm glad you came. We've been talking about this for a while, and I love the whole history and the philosophy of Seniors Helping Seniors. So talk about the history of how the company even began.
Yeah, it's a great story, so I'm excited to tell you. So a woman named Karan lived in India and worked beside Mother Teresa. And she cared for people who couldn't care for themselves. And she had a passion and a heart for seniors. So when she came to the States, she decided that that's what she wanted to continue here in the States. So she started a nonprofit called Seniors Helping Seniors, with the idea that a more mature caregiver could provide a more enriching relationship for this senior that they're caring for. So after 2 years of the nonprofit, she decided to franchise, and the concept of Seniors Helping Seniors became, it blossomed. So now there's over 200 Seniors Helping Seniors franchises across the nation.
That's amazing. So we'll talk about the nuts and bolts in a little bit about Seniors Helping Seniors and why that would be important for someone. But let's talk about your particular franchise that you work with and how that started and what that looks like.
Absolutely. So Sue Erskine was a successful businesswoman. Her dad had Alzheimer's. And with that disease, as you know, many challenges, her stepmom needed some help. And so they hired a more mature caregiver to help with respite for the stepmom. And that caregiver came in and would take him golfing and take him, out to lunch. And he really formed a great relationship with Sue's dad, and stayed with that family until Sue's dad passed. And it was such a great relationship and improved the quality of that family that Sue, when she heard about Seniors Helping Seniors, thought, this is a way I'm going to honor my dad. So she bought 3 franchises of Seniors Helping Seniors and started 2013. Her sister ran one in New Jersey. I ran Orange County, and her daughter, Trisha Izadi, ran it in San Diego. So today we have San Diego and Orange County. So the whole idea of Seniors Helping Seniors really is the caregiver. So when we first interview a caregiver, it's why? Why do you want to do this? And if a caregiver is, I have a heart for seniors. I have it makes me feel good inside when I go home and I know I've taken care of a senior and that I've improved the quality of their life. So it really is a win-win for the caregiver as well as for the client. So I have a caregiver, when I asked her that, she said, Mary, my mom, when she was, declining, I was there as much as I could for her, but when she passed, I wasn't there holding her hand. And she started to cry, and she said, I need to be there for others so that they're not alone when they pass.
Wow, that's powerful.
She's still a caregiver and provides such great care to her clients because she has that heart and compassion, and she's more mature, and so she understands the challenges of getting older.
Got it. So when people hear Seniors Helping Seniors and they imagine, okay, well, I need care for my mother who is 85 or 90.
Yes.
And so they're thinking, okay, I'm going to have another 85 or 90-year-old take care of my mom, but that's not what this is.
That's not the concept. The concept, we typically hire 40 and above, so they have some, maturity, some experience. But before we start services with a client, we do an assessment of that client, what their needs are. So some clients need bathing, they need dressing, they need meal preparation. Other clients with Alzheimer's, they need companionship, they need engagement and interaction. So we do a full assessment on that client, and then we match the caregiver to those needs. So if that client has Alzheimer's and they really don't need any bathing, but they just need somebody to go out and engage with them and improve the quality of their time, then we'll match that caregiver with that client. So it just depends on what that client is needing. So if they're needing a 40-year-old, able-bodied man who can help transfer them, out of their wheelchair into their bed, then we're going to match. So we match the needs of the client to the caregiver.
So you mentioned, bathing and things like that. The activities of daily living is
Yes.
what we kind of call that in the industry.
Absolutely.
So your caregivers can take care of all of the ADLs that their clients need.
We have 24/7 clients who are bedridden or on hospice. So we can take care of any level care of client. And if we couldn't, I have a lot of resources in the community. San Diego is great with resources, and that's part of my job, to build connections. So if we're not able to take care of a client, we'll refer to a resource that can. So that's the one thing about San Diego that I love to work in, is that there's a lot of great resources for our seniors. But yes, back to your question, we can take care of all levels of clients. With that extra that we have experienced caregivers who really are not there just for a job, but it's kind of their mission and in their heart to really enrich the seniors' lives.
Right. Well, I can see why that would be rewarding for the caregiver, and also too for the person who's receiving care, because they're going to connect maybe better with that person, maybe some more in common. And like you said, the caregiver has a little bit more maturity and more experience. So I can see why it would be a very, very natural fit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. Well, on screen is all the information for Seniors Helping Seniors. If you're watching on the video, you can see it obviously. If you're listening on your favorite channel like Spotify, it's in the caption. Mary, thank you very much for joining me today and enlightening the audience on Seniors Helping Seniors.
Thank you, Brian.
My pleasure.